Alright, game day's right around the corner and about time to get a look at those Kelly Greens. We also got some really great news with several starters back at practice. Plus, Dolphins defensive coordinator Vic Fangio admitted the Birds may actually have an advantage Sunday night. The Eagles just signed a former Sean Desai cornerback and Julio Jones is playing. But first, let's run it. Hey guys, let's go! Birds action right around the corner where I can't wait to partake in all the pregame festivities at the link and check out the sick light show before the game, which by the way, just as a reminder, make sure to download the Eagles app if you haven't already and complete the quick steps so you can join in on the light up the link fun, because it's gonna be dope. Heck, even the Dolphins know that. With Miami running back Raheem Mostert saying, "I know the stadium's gonna be rockin'. Sunday night, they're coming out with the mean Kelly Green unis. Those are cold." Sorry, Neil and any others who don't necessarily care for the Kelly Greens. Although it's probably worth pointing out that Mostert's familiar with Philly since after all, he started his NFL career with the Birds as an undrafted free agent in 2015. Yet despite leading the NFL in preseason scrimmage yards and 5 kick returns for an average of 32 yards per return, Mostert was waived by Chip Kelly and then brought back to the practice squad before ultimately getting signed by the Dolphins, and the rest is history.
No, I'm sure of it. I hate him.
Okay, technically Mostert still bounced around to several other teams before sticking with San Francisco and then eventually making his way to Miami, where he's been dominant so far, racking up 429 rushing yards on 75 carries while collecting 11 touchdowns. But like I shared on an earlier video, Eagles defensive coordinator Sean Desai's got a plan, so I don't think the return to Philly is going to be near as fun for the 31-year-old. Although as we know, that's not the only reunion happening on Sunday night, with Miami defensive coordinator Vic Fangio coming into town. Remember, Fangio was hired as a consultant for the Eagles and had been linked to a potential defensive coordinator role with the Birds before, Jonathan Gannon's lies ruined all that.
No, Philly's keeping me. We're good, bad, or indifferent. I'm staying here.
Whatever. And don't get me wrong, I've loved Desai and think he's done a really good job. Yet it does raise the question, will Fangio have extra insight into the Birds' offense?
We didn't give him all the secrets. I asked him for his help. He was giving us information and us not giving him information. No, he, obviously when he was around last year, during the end of the season, that was, it was just a unique opportunity to have a guy help us look at some different things, the way a defensive coach's perspective on it. And, and then Jonathan being able to bounce some things off of him. And me being able to bounce some things off him as a head coach. So I really value the relationship that I was able to develop with Coach Fangio. Great person, great football mind. We know we're going to have our hands full with any Vic Fangio coach defense, which we have obviously this week. Huge Phillies fan. I'm hoping that he's a little distracted, but really good person, really good coach. Value the friendship that we have in the time that we spent together last year.
Okay, go Phillies. And yeah, I hope Fangio's a little distracted, but the Miami coach suggested it's actually the Eagles who have the advantage.
I was giving them more information than they were giving me. It's kind of the way it turned out. So if there's any advantage to be had by me being there last year, it's in their favor.
All right, I guess the question is, how much of an advantage is it really? I don't know. If there is one, it's probably not to the level of the brotherly shove, which Fangio said he has no problem with, and the Eagles just happen to be really good at it because of their offensive line. And he thinks they'd have just as much success with the normal sneak as they are now.
Suck up.
Yeah, I kind of had the same question, but let's not forget, Fangio grew up a Philadelphia fan and has been keeping a close eye on Jalen Hurts, sharing he has no weaknesses. I've always liked him. I told Howie back in 21 that he had his quarterback, a very strong, obviously his running ability is tops, and gives them an extra guy in the run game, which makes it hard to defend. Excellent scrambler, great leader, it's hard to find a fault with him. Yes, despite some crazies overreacting to one game, I still believe Jalen Hurts is him. At the same time, I'm not going to get carried away and say Hurts is faultless, since after all, Jalen's only gone one game this season without turning the ball over. The Commanders game for those counting. But I think we'll see a much better Hurts who takes care of the ball and has that fire. Plus, it doesn't hurt, no pun intended, that the Dolphins defense could be without a starter in former All-Pro corner Xavier Howard, who's dealing with a groin injury. Although he was a limited participant, but either way, the Fins' best corner won't be 100%. I almost feel bad for Howard, who's got to deal with the dominant duo of A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith. Yes, for those wondering, Smitty was a limited participant at practice with a hamstring, but judging by the video of him working out, the Slim Reaper looks ready to go, and officially confirmed it after practice, saying, "You ain't got to worry about me, I'll be out there."
I made a miraculous recovery, which is more than I can say for him.
You gotta admit, it is kind of crazy how fast he got better. But it makes sense now with the Kelly Green jerseys being the major advantage and Smitty saying they should be the permanent fits from now on. He just didn't want to miss a game in the Kelly Greens, and I don't blame him. Neither did the rest of the team. Like Outside the Birds noticed, the debut of the Kelly Green uniforms is really out here healing Eagles starters. Seriously, whatever works. Because the Birds donning the new helmets got cornerback Darius Slay back on the field and looking very promising to start Sunday. Plus, Lane Johnson's looking ready to go after several beat writers shared some practice footage, as well as Jacob Sports' Derek Gunn saying Pave the Lane told him he's playing against Miami. But we knew this. Still, it is the best news that I've heard all week. Of course, we also got a glimpse at the bread man Jalen Carter out on the field as it appears he's headed towards playing. And no, you're not losing it, that is a knee brace he's wearing. My assumption is that they're doing that for protective measures since after all it was an ankle injury that was reported, but I'm just glad to see him out there. I also love getting a first look at Julio Jones in the Kelly Green during receiver drills, which evidently Lord Brunson did as well. And honestly, I think this is trending toward Julio being activated on Sunday, especially given head coach Nick Sirianni's initial observation of the wideout.
You're always looking at the explosion, does he still have the, juice in his legs and the ability to run, the ability to get out of cuts, the ability to make plays, and all those things were we thought was still good. You can look at the stats, you can do all those different things, but it's about putting the tape on and seeing what you see and what you think, and and then seeing him work out the other day, we're like, he's still got a lot of pop in his legs, and we're excited about that.
I love it. I think it's a lock that Julio's elevated from the practice squad unless they go with Mario Goodrich.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, come on. We're not that stupid, right? However, Mario Goodrich was signed back to the practice squad, so I guess there's a possibility that he's brought up from Miami. Although I really hope not. Except with the official injury report listing Reed Blankenship and Bradley Roby as DNPs, it feels like they're not going to go. And while I'm confident in Sidney Brown's ability to showcase his skills, the slot corner doesn't feel like the best play. But who do you guys want to see there, assuming that Roby can't go? Personally, I'd like to see a little bit more of Eli Ricks, considering the injuries we have. It also wouldn't surprise me if Desai went with Josiah Scott, since remember, he was just signed to the active roster, and I can't imagine you'd make a move like that and then not play the guy. Speaking of moves, this is the daily update where I give you another potential target that probably doesn't end up happening. This time in Tennessee Titans safety Kevin Byard, who's been linked to the Eagles in the past. However, Pro Football Focus thinks now's the time to strike, saying Byard's 2023 salary was reduced to $4 million before the season, which makes him significantly easier to trade at the deadline. And while he's expressed a desire to remain in Tennessee for the rest of his career, perhaps the chance to contend for a Super Bowl is too hard to pass up. This is a tough trade valuation though, with just two safeties aged 30 or older traded since 2010 and both for day 3 picks. Byard is a better player than both at this stage in his career by a comfortable margin, but there may not be a middle ground where Tennessee is happy with the return and Philadelphia doesn't feel like they're giving up too much. The Eagles also do not have a 3rd or 4th round pick in 2024. Ultimately, the Eagles are chasing a ring in what could potentially be the final season for close to half a dozen franchise legends, so we think they're willing to be aggressive here and offer a 2025 3rd round pick. Look, I don't hate the move for Byard, however, I don't think I'm willing to give up a 3rd round pick for him either. I don't know, maybe that's crazy, but knowing Howie and the incredible value on deals that he gets, it's hard to believe that he would give up that much for a rental player. Granted, depending on the injury status of some of our other guys, perhaps there's more desperation to get something done. Curious what y'all think though. Honestly, I'd be okay with a 4th, although ideally I'd probably want to go with a 5th. Although it is worth mentioning that the Eagles signed former Chicago Bears defensive back Kindle Vildor to the practice squad.
Who the hell are you?
Yeah, well, I was thinking the same thing, but Vildor was a 5th round draft pick by the Bears in 2020 and appeared in 46 games, including 22 starts in his first 3 seasons, where he recorded 97 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 1 sack during his time in Chicago. However, the most notable part of this is that he played under Desai for 2 years, and scouting reports suggest he could play both at the slot and the outside corner position. So we'll see how it plays out and if the Birds elevate him for the game this Sunday. Either way, I think it's a pretty good move. All right, time for my weekly NFL picks, where we went 2-1 last week, along with several guaranteed winners. So congrats to all you guys who got in on the action, and this week you can too, thanks to my partnership with BetMGM, where your first entry when you sign up via the link in the description is an automatic winner. Even if your entry doesn't hit, BetMGM will pay you back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. So here we go. For week 7, I'm going to take Baltimore laying 3 points against Detroit. And how about taking the 5.5 points with LA, since the Chargers always seem to play Kansas City close? Finally, no surprise here, but I'm going to take the Eagles -2.5 on on Kelly Green night because it's foolproof, but good luck all, and please remember to gamble responsibly. Also, just a reminder that there won't be any live streaming for the Miami game since obviously I'll be in Philly this weekend to take in the game. All right, let's hear those score predictions for Sunday night. I'm going to say Birds 27-23. This has been the Philly Special.